Hello beautiful friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. We have a lot of new beauty to try, so let's do a full face of new makeup.
First up is the Oil Sucker Extreme Mattifying Alkaline Primer by onesize. I was excited to try this because I have a very oily T-zone. You need to shake it really well before using because otherwise it comes out all liquidy. I only applied it to my forehead, the sides of my nose and my chin, so basically my T-zone. It does dry surprisingly quickly, and even though it does feel like it's sucking up the oil, the finish isn't quite as matte as I was expecting. It doesn't feel heavy or uncomfortable on the skin though, which I do really appreciate. I was sent this in PR and it retails for £34. Next up we have an entirely new brand for me, which is exciting. Rituel de fille translates as girl ritual, I believe. It's called the 3-drop weightless serum foundation and they sent it to me in the shade 105. If you think the fact that it's called the 3-drop serum foundation would be enough for me to realise you only need 3 drops, then you overestimate my intelligence. I did some emergency bopping with the Turn Up the Base Infinity Beauty Sponge by onesize. Fortunately the foundation doesn't set very quickly, so I was able to suck up as much as I could from that cheek and then spread it all over my face. It's still looking a little bit excessive on the cheek I applied too much on, but the forehead and the other cheek looks so good. I think the finish is absolutely beautiful. It's radiant without making me look really oily. Very lightweight as well, and this retails for £37. Next up we have the MAC Studio Radiance 24-hour Luminous Lift Concealer in the shade NW5. I was also sent this in PR, by the way. Prada actually sent me their Beauty Tools Concealer Buffing Brush, so I'm going to use that to blend it out. If you've seen my videos before, you'll probably know that I way prefer blending out under eye concealer with my finger. I just think the warmth makes it sink into the skin better, and I also use another finger just to take off any excess. It's always good to branch out a little bit though, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised with the finish. I love how dense the brush is because it did a really good job of sucking up excess concealer. It's very radiant and full coverage, and I think this shade is a good brightening one for me. Even though Haus is available in Sephora UK, I bought this on a whim when I was in San Francisco. This is the Haus Colour Fuse Glassy Blush Balm in the shade Glassy Lilac. I've somehow managed not to see a single review of these, and I was not expecting them to be this pigmented, which is what I say when I try every single blusher. If I ever come across a blusher that's less pigmented than I was expecting, I think the universe might implode. I wouldn't personally describe this shade as lilac. On me at least, it's just more of a cool toned pink. That is my absolute favourite shade of blusher though, so can't complain. It's really blendable, and I think the glassy finish is absolutely stunning. As always, I'm putting a little bit on the bridge of my nose. It's rare to come across a blush balm that isn't so balmy it's greasy. Very, very impressed. Now for a very highly requested product, this is the Made by Mitchell Lighter Curve Case. Let's try Extra Cream first, which is the lightest and greyest shade. Immediately no. If you're lighter and cooler toned than I am though, then this is probably perfect. The next shade up is a little bit green for me, so let's try Cloud Curve. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but this one also looks a little bit green toned. I really only bought this lighter curve case for review purposes, and I personally think that the light curve case suits my skin tone a lot better. Formula wise, I think these are an example of balms that are a bit too greasy. The Made by Mitchell Liquid Contour in the shade Hollow there is a much nicer formula, and it's my perfect contour shade, so I'll link that below. I'll also link everything I've used in this video in order. Next up we have a new release from Iconic London. This is the Velvet Blur Translucent Setting Powder. I was sent this by the brand, which I'm very happy about because I was planning to buy it. I don't tend to go for loose powders because I just find them really messy compared to pressed ones. Having said that, the powder is so soft it feels like flour, and the puff is also really nice and soft. It's light enough that it doesn't feel heavy and it doesn't look cakey at all. And for how little I used, it did a really good job of setting and mattifying. I love a pressed powder and that's what I'll continue to use day to day, but if you tend to go for loose powder, I think you'll really like this one, especially if you have oily skin. I am wearing quite light base makeup here though, so I'm not sure how it would perform on heavier makeup. It retails for £25. This next one isn't really a first impressions. If you saw my San Francisco vlog, you'll know that I had a really weird face rash on my forehead and my eyes, and I couldn't for the life of me work out what it was, so I bought new products like new mascara and brow pencil to see if it was maybe the makeup I was using. And this Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat Micro Precision Brow Pencil in the shade Natural Brown was one of my rash related purchases. I need to try another shade because this one is slightly warm for me. It retails for £25 and I actually prefer it to brow wiz. Next up is an interesting one. This is the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner. I bought it in the shade Fig, which is a deep purpley red. I always associate these sorts of colours with crying or being ill, so I wasn't too sure about this. I don't think there's enough red in it to make me look ill though, I actually really like it. It's a very autumnal colour and the liner itself is very easy to blend. This was £32. Next up is the Wonder Volume Mascara XXL by Clarins. They sent this to me in PR a little while ago, but I've only just got round to trying it. The shape of the wand isn't what I'd usually go for, but I curled my lashes and then started with one light coat. I don't know if I've mentioned this before on here, but I had trichotillomania as a child, so my lashes are very sparse, they never really grew back, and therefore I tend to have quite a difficult time with mascaras. I do like this one though, it didn't clump even though I applied quite a few layers and it's very lengthening. Really wet mascaras tend to weigh my lashes down, but because this one's quite dry they held their curl, which is a big plus. This one retails for £27. I have been waiting for the right moment to try this next one. This is the rom&nd Better Than palette in the shade 00 Light and Glitter Garden. I have never seen so many glittery shades I want to put on my face. I'm starting with this really cool toned pink and I'm just pressing it into my lid. I film in natural light so it's not going to look as glittery as it would in artificial or low lighting, but I still think it looks amazing. How beautiful is that? I love that the pink actually comes through and it's not just a clear glitter. I always use my fingers when applying these kind of glittery pigments because they just go on so much better, especially if you push the product in rather than swiping. I actually got this palette when I went to the Pure Soul store opening in Westfield White City. They gave us a £50 voucher and I ended up spending £150 on products, so we can say I was given a third off. I applied a little bit more of the pink shade to my lids and now I'm going in with this white one just in my inner corners. I love how bright it is and it has a slightly different reflex, so it definitely does look different to the pink one. It's so glittery it almost looks wet. I cannot wait to use this palette for a Christmas event. As you can see there is a little bit of fallout, but I did pack on a lot of product. Next time I use this I'll do my eyes first and then my base so that I can get rid of any fallout before I finish my makeup. Even with shipping it's quite a lot cheaper on YesStyle, so I'll link that below. My number one favourite lip balm in the world is the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm, and they've released a new shade, so of course I had to buy it. This is hot cocoa and my absolute favourite thing about it is that it tastes just like chocolate. It's cooler and deeper than other browns that Summer Fridays has released and I absolutely love how it looks on my lips. It is very sheer as their other balms are, but I love the kind of reddishness. I've been wearing this at work recently and I do keep having to reapply it because I just lick it off. I suppose you could call that a negative, but 14 out of 10, I absolutely love it. We do have another couple of lip products to try, so sadly I had to remove it. Oh, and these lip butter balms are £23 by the way. I bought a couple of these Refy lip blurs, mostly because I just wanted to see if they were any different to their lip liners. I'm going to try Opal. This is the lightest shade they do. They're definitely different. This is more blendable, whereas the lip liners are more waxy. From the swatches I've seen on their website, this looks like it's the pinkest shade they do, and it does actually match my natural lip tone quite well. I would actually wear this for a no makeup look. It just gives the lips a bit of definition without being too dramatic. The only problem I encountered was even though it doesn't drag on my lips at all, the pencil kept on falling out. I tried pushing it back in, but it was completely broken, which is such a shame. It's really odd because I didn't wind it up too much, so I wouldn't have expected that to happen. I soldered on though and did a little bit of lip contouring, especially in the centre of my lower lip and then round the edges. I'd usually go for a much more defining lip liner to give me a really sharp line, but this softer finish is definitely lower maintenance and looks more natural. It's not going to have the staying power of the lip liners because of the waxiness I mentioned, but it'll be a lot less noticeable if this one starts to fade anyway. These were £16 each. Next up is the Dior Forever Liquid Sequin Christmas Limited Edition Liquid Lipstick in the shade 353 Liaison. Dior's actually released 10 limited edition shades of this sequin lipstick, presumably because they were so popular last year. They very kindly sent me 8 of them, but because of a warehouse or postage issue I don't have the last 2. Which means I haven't been able to do a video trying them all yet. I so wanted there to be a pink shade last year and now there is, so this is of course the one I'm trying. If you haven't seen these before, you apply one light coat, leave it to dry, and then when you rub your lips together it becomes glittery. I actually like it less than I thought I would. It looks a bit chromatic rather than glittery like the 999 red shade. When I have the other 2 shades I'll definitely do a video trying all 10. These are £40 each. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.